Hey guys, I'm working on my 2015 Toyota Sienna. I got a TPMS light on. What's going on is when you first start the car up, the TPMS light starts flashing, and about after, say, a mile or a minute of driving, the light goes solid, doesn't go away. When your light comes on, you usually got two reasons why. It's either your tire pressure is low or your sensors are starting to degrade and they're not sending the signal to the computer and it's not registering. Most time it usually happens because of age. These sensors are only set up to last like 8 to 10 years until the battery eventually dies. They have little coin cells, you know, in the little sensor here. And after about 10 years or roughly 150,000 miles, pretty much that coin cell's depleted, the sensor goes out, and then your computer inside will detect that it's no longer getting a signal, and you'll get an error code or an indicator light on your instrument cluster. The way I want to fix this is I'll be replacing not only the bad ones, I'm going to go ahead and replace all of them. Again, this is a 10-year-old car with 150,000 miles. If one goes out, others will just go out probably within months of each other. I'm replacing these with OEM sensors because I got 10 years worth of life and 150,000 miles out of the originals, so I'm going to spend the extra money to make sure I get some good quality ones. So I'm actually buying the ones straight from Toyota. Ended up roughly about, the sensors themselves are about 50 bucks a piece when there's, discounts through your local dealer, which usually occur, like during the holidays, they sometimes throw out 25% discounts, and I decided to take them up on that. Let me show you a few tools, do some explanation of how to test which ones are bad if you only think there's a single one going bad prematurely. And we'll go through the rest of the video. Let's get this fixed. All right, so here's some of the things you'll need. First and foremost, you need some TPMS sensors. I decided to go with the OEM ones. There's usually two types of sensors. There's like OEM style or pre-programmed sensors, which have these have IDs written to them already from the factory. Those just need to be relearned to the car. So in other words, you take this information and you write it to one of the car's TPMS computers, which this tool right here can do, and I'll show you in a second. The other type of sensor is a universal sensor made by different manufacturers, but like say Autel, which makes this tool right here, they have a universal sensor, and it comes from the factory blank, and it needs to be programmed. What the programming does is each manufacturer's TPMS sensor works a little bit differently. I think the intervals which they send a message may be different. The format of the digital message to the computer is a little bit different, and also the frequency that they use can be different. It could be 315 megahertz, which is usually North American cars or North American market cars, and European cars use 433 megahertz. When you program one of these sensors, you pretty much say, hey, I'm putting this into a 2015 Toyota Sienna, and you can have it write a random hexadecimal ID to it, or you can copy what your old sensors were. You're essentially cloning the sensor, and you don't even have to touch or talk to the computer in the vehicle. Kind of like, these transponder, the chip keys, you may take them to Walmart, they'll clone the chip when they cut a new key. And so you don't have to actually have a locksmith or a dealer reprogram that key. And the way you get the old ID with one of these like TPMS tools like this Autel here, this is a TS508WF. This triggers TPMS. You hit a button, it'll activate it or trigger it to say, hey, what information do you have? And it'll give you all the specs. You can copy the old ID using that if it still has some battery life left to it, or you can hook this up via OBD2. It comes with a cable or a dongle that connects to your OBD2 port, and it can read what the TPMS computer in the car had recorded as the previous identifiers. And then you can take those get four universal sensors and say, hey, I want these new sensors set up to work with this car with these old IDs. And then all you got to do is pull the old sensors out, pop the new ones in, you're done. But A little bit different with these OEM ones. Like I said, we'll put them in, we'll go through, we'll scan each ID off the sensors, and then we'll relearn it to the vehicle with this right here. So what this does, again, it triggers TPMS, so you can walk around the car, you can see which sensors are still actively talking. It can connect via OBD2 and read if there's a TPMS specific error code. And again, you can also use it to relearn by scanning all four, writing it to the computer and say, hey, these are your new sensors. And then it also does the programming of the aftermarket, or only the Autel brand is what it works with. Pricing on this, MSRP is about $200 something, but I found a seller on eBay. They're doing about 110 each time they upload one. That's what I got, 110 free shipping. Also, another tool you need. This is a valve stem removal tool. Actually, this is what they call a four-way valve tool for tires. And let me put in the black so you can see a little bit. See that little slotted tip? That's to get the valve stem out of your tire, to let the air out. So when you're trying to compress it on the wheel, you're not fighting that valve. Another good thing about this is because it has a thread chaser. Let me show you. If you had a rubber valve stem instead of one of these metal ones, you have to pull it through the wheel, and you need some way to grab a hold of it. So you could use the thread chasing function of this, and then you could use it to pull it through. They do make a screwdriver style of this, so it's not as hard to hold this. But what I did, it's actually 3D printed a handle that works with this. These are universal, or about all the same, so this should work. If you got a 3D printer, I got the file. I'll put it below, so if you want to print this out, it's kind of handy. Last but not least, you got to get a way to break the bead on your tire. Some people, what they do is they put the tire underneath the car, they put a jack underneath the frame, and they use the weight of the vehicle to push down on the sidewall of the tire. They do it with trailer hitches, using that as a point to push down on. I'm also seeing like somebody use a 2x4 lever to kind of smash that sidewall down to break the bead. I'm not a fan of it, okay? It seems not exactly that safe. This thing right here is called a Bead Buster, and it clamps to the lip of the rim and actually pushes the bead down, kind of like a small little press. The rim goes here, it gets clamped, your bead will be here, this foot gets pushed down when you screw this. This is actually a made in America tool, and because of that, it commands a little bit of a price. Brand new, they're about $150. I didn't pay that. I found one new open box on eBay, about 100 bucks, which I feel, to me, to be honest with you, that's probably about the proper price point for something like this. But anyway, let's go around the car. Let's use this as scan and see what kind of information we're getting from the vehicle. All right, we'll turn this on here. All right, we're going to go to quick mode. And all my selections have been pre-selected because I've already been through it. So this is a Toyota. It's a Sienna. And it's 2015. And it's going to be, like I said, 315 megahertz because we're in the USA market. And let's go around. We'll just scan all the sensors. Okay, and so now it's saying, hey, go to your front left. What you do is you put it here. We'll hit the trigger button. All right, read that one. And it shows we got 37.1 PSI. So now it wants me to do the front right. So we'll go over there. And we'll line it up here. And if you're not seeing a signal or response within 2 seconds, it's safe to say that this one's dead. See, it's still not doing it. It'll eventually time out. I'm just going to go ahead and say no. And I'm going to manually arrow down here to the next one. We'll do it again. That one's dead. All right, we'll manually go over to rear left. All right, well, and that one's dead too. So I'm only able to get one reading. While I was waiting on sensors and everything, I actually did this scan before, and I think I had 2 dead ones. Obviously I had the light, and by the time I got this tool in, it's been a little bit. So 2 of them died out. One of them showed actually battery in okay. There was I think it was an exclamation point or something there. But one thing we can do, let's hook this up to OBD2 and see what that shows. All right, so we're sitting in the car now, and we have our TPMS connected via OBD2. Go to, I believe it was advanced mode. And go back through your selection. Go to TPMS Diagnostics. Do you want to clear the previous data? We'll say no, because that's what we scanned earlier. We want to keep those in there. So we have this. And highlight the OBD little engine logo there. Hit yes. It tells you, hey, turn the car on, etc., etc. So now it's communicating with the vehicle. It's reading the sensor IDs. It's reading DTCs. This next page, and what it's showing here is the OBD dongle logo means, hey, these are IDs that I read from the vehicle, and the kind of like wireless antenna one says, hey, I found a match for it. Well, these other 3 are dead, so it didn't find a match. Like this right here, select one of them, hit details, and it shows you like, hey, left front, we scanned it as an 809D, and the OBD2 is reading it's an 809D, and then it also gives all the positions. So these are the 4 that should be, or these are the 3 identifiers that you don't see on the left. That's what's recorded inside the computer is what this should be. So that's what we'll be overriding when we relearn these. And we'll go back, see what trouble codes that the actual computer is stating. Transmitter ID2, ID3, and ID4 not received, which means those are all dead. You can erase them here, but I'm going to leave it so when we fix it, we'll drive the car and see if the errors go away by themselves. So we'll just back out. All right, let's get to replacing these. All right, when you buy these sensors from the dealer or whoever you're buying them from, one of the first things I think you should do when you first receive them, before you even open them out of the individual bags, is to check and make sure that they're actually good from the factory. It takes 30 seconds to do and probably save you a lot of headache. I'd hate to break down a tire and put it in and find out the sensor was dead from the get-go. But to do that with your little TPMS tool, we can go into quick mode. Select your car again, and this is all pre-selected from before. Scan single sensor, and then I'm going to pull these away from the rest. I'll do this one. So it read, and we got a last 3 digits of B13. See, B13. So it's picking up. Actually, I think it picked up this one. So this is 576. So actually, originally it picked up this one and then scanned it again. So make sure these are different. 576, B13. Again, it's better if you're like 4 foot away. This is D23. And 35C. So these are all different, and they all scan. We're all good. We're good to go. Also note that if you ever see $30 TPMS, a whole set of 4 sensors on eBay in a box, most likely those are counterfeit or knockoffs, because everywhere I've seen that the official dealer TRW or TRW Toyota ones, they all come in bags. So if you see them in a box, $30, those are counterfeit, by the way. All right, I got the vehicle jacked up on one corner. Got the wheel up. I put the valve stem at the 12 o'clock position just for ease. Take the cap off, and I'll put an air chuck on it that I made. These are just 2 pieces I bought at Harbor Freight. That'll let the initial air out. So I'll let that sit for a minute and we'll come back and take the valve core out. Actually, while we're waiting on this, I got some soapy water and a sponge, and I'm just going to kind of clean off the areas to the left and right of the valve stem here, all this grime. That's here, because this is where we're going to be putting our bead buster, and it will move that tip a little bit as you push the bead in, and if there's any dirt or grime there, that can scratch your wheels. So it's best just to go ahead and get these cleaned out. All right, most of the air out. Take this off, and we'll take our 4-way tool. We'll put it in that handle I designed. We'll take the valve core out, and it does have some residual pressure, so it will want to push its way out. There's your valve core, and you still hear some air coming out. All right, time to put the bead buster on. Again, I'll find an open spot on either side of the valve stem. Usually we have to push in 2 different spots to get this bead busted, but what I'll do is I'll take the foot there, push into the tire, so it gives me a gap between the rim and the tire, and then I push it in towards the center. Then I'll take my other hand, and I take a 3/4 inch socket, and I tighten that arm in a little bit, and then I kind of keep beating that in until this gap closes up a little bit. Now I tighten it until, not until this is perfectly in line with the axle, but just a little bit rolled out, just a hair, and that keeps it from sliding out when we do this. And now I just tighten this foot. See how it rolls like that a little bit? That means I need to get a little bit tighter in there. I'll bring it around here so you can see this a little better. As you can see, it's pushing that bead in with that foot. All right, that's all we bottomed out, and we will move over to the left side over here and do it again. Relieve that. All right, we'll do like we did the other side. We'll push in, lock it in. Is it just in here? There we go. Now, one thing I want you to note is you don't want that edge of that foot to gouge into the wheel. So you got to be careful with that angle. But now we got this, the bead essentially broken up top, and we can, there we go. Fully unseated from all the way around. Take this off. No damage to the wheel. And what we'll do is we'll put some blocks in to give us some space. So these are 2x4s. We just gotta put them in there. We'll put them into the, they call it the drop center. Look like this. And there we go. Plenty of room to work with. All right, now it's time to take out the actual TPMS sensor. This has a nut collar on it, and that takes a 12mm socket to take it off. That's what that looks like. And there's a washer right here. So if you push this in and pull it out a little bit, see that washer that goes on the outside. Now we take the sensor, push it in, and what we do, we push it in and turn it sideways a little bit, and it comes out easier. And that's our old one. Take our new one. Put it in sideways. Make sure you don't drop it into the tire. It could be bad. I put it in sideways like that, and then we turn it towards the hole. Make sure that O-ring on there is seated. That comes on it already. Put your washer on. Put your collar on. And do not over tighten this, but we're just going to tighten it nice and snug. You don't want to break it. Okay, so we'll tighten it. Again, it's just an O-ring. And so we'll tighten it until it's like that, nice and snug. Now we can take blocks of wood out. Now we're ready to seat the bead. Okay, to make seating the bead a little bit easier, that soapy water we use to clean it, what we'll do is we'll rub it around here, and that'll let that rubber slide easier. And I know this valve stem's in this one, that's fine. We'll leave it in there, we'll put that chuck on there. And then I have my regulator set on my air compressor to about 60 PSI. It'll never get there, it just allows it to flow a little bit better. And I'm gonna connect this and it should start putting air into it. If the tire doesn't start sealing, kind of maneuver it around to kind of pull the bead onto the rim. But what you'll see is it'll start doing it and it'll pop a couple of times. The last pop will probably sound pretty loud. It's about half the decibels of a shotgun going off, but I mean it can be pretty loud when it does it. So when you do this, kind of step over to the side a little bit. But as soon as it pops, I'm going to release this and then I'll put an actual air compressor that has a set pressure on it. So here we go. That bottom part of the bead seated. And here comes the top. Again, it's probably going to sound like a gun going off. Boom. And there we go. The bead is seated. Now we're filling it full of air. All right, so I'll set that. Oops. Set my rears to 38. And I'll let that run until it sets the pressure. All right, now that we got that, I actually went through and did all the other tires. Now it's time, let's do the relearn procedure. So we turn this on, advance, select our car again, and we will do position relearn number 3. And we will do OBD relearn. Do you want to clear the previous data? That's where we scan the old sensors. Let's scan some new ones. We'll clear it and we'll scan some new ones. All right, proper TPMS tool is required to learn the new sensor IDs. Gauge park, blah, blah, start the left front tire, use TPMS. Well, all the stuff that they're talking about here, I'm going to show you what to do. We'll start with front left tire. All right, got it. Go over here to the other one. Hopefully there's no glare. That's good. We will We'll go now to the rear right. That's good. And rear left. All right. Now it says, confirm whether the vehicle has a spare tire. If no spare tire, which it doesn't have a TPMS sensor in the tire, connect the tool to OBD2 port and turn the ignition on and press OK to continue. So let's do that. All right, so car is on. We're communicating. So I guess there's a time delay to unlock the ECU. And you can see that it's going crazy. So it's now writing all those sensor IDs to the computer. ID successful. Proceed with the following steps until the OBD relearn is successful. Okay. So everything should be good. And I bet we still have DTCs. Transmitter ID not received made. I'm not going to race this. We're going to drive around and see if it goes away. But what it's saying is all the sensors that the tool read match now what the OBD2 have written to the computer. So we'll exit out of this. We should be good to go. We'll take this car for a drive and see if our light goes out. All right, we got the car on. I got the trip odometer set. I'm going to see how long it takes time-wise to reset this light. Up, and it went out. So a minute and 30 and half a mile. And that light is out for the first time since one of the sensors went out. So now time to get back home and we'll review everything. All right, and just in case you're wondering what those what it looks like inside the system here, we'll go to diagnostics. You want to clear the data? No, because we want to keep the IDs that we read individually. We'll go up here to OBD and gives you your instructions there. Communicating with vehicle, reading DTCs, everything's read successfully. We notice that there's now green little Wi-Fi marks on everything. All the pressures are being read. We'll select the, or actually no, it says no DTCs. So there's nothing to really select there. If you click an individual sensor, it'll give a list showing that not only we read that sensor, but we read that that's what the correct sensor was according to the OBD computer. So this 100% confirms our light's out. There's no DTCs. It's recognizing all 4 of our sensors. Pressures look good. And we just fixed this light by replacing all of them. So this has been a successful repair, replace. All right, so let's review everything real quick. Time-wise, probably if you weren't filming it, it'd probably take you 40 minutes altogether, especially with the tools I used. Again, the Diagnosis and Relearn equipment I used, this is an Autel TS508WF. It was $110 on eBay. Like I said, the MSRP is like $280, but look out for the brand new ones that are only 110 bucks. Was it worth it? Absolutely. I think the diagnosis capability, the fact that it was able to communicate with the Toyotas and relearn the IDs to the vehicle, just the quick diagnosis, everything about it, I think it's worth it. Is it required? For this instance, yeah, but there's an alternative to it. People sell TechStream, which is kind of like the Toyota dealer tool. They sell like a bootleg software version of it in a OBD2 cable. It's like 40-50 bucks, I think, on Amazon, where you have to take the IDs off the TPMS sensor and manually program it, do it that way, type it in. That's a cheaper alternative, a little bit harder to diagnose. Again, but if you have multiple vehicles and stuff, this thing right here pays for itself. As far as breaking the bead, I used the Bead Buster XB-450i. XB-450i, $150 new, $110 to $120 on eBay, open box, newish, etc. Sometimes people put them up for 80 bucks. What's great about this is you don't have to take the wheel off the vehicle. And to me, it's the fastest alternative, or it's faster than the alternative. Required, it's not, but it's worth it. The alternative, like I said, there are all kinds of videos about people showing how to put the tires underneath your car and lowering it down and have the disc rotor pop the bead, using a jack to push down on it. I've seen people fight them. Where this, I didn't have any issue getting the beads popped. Ran it down in 2 spots. Each time the bead popped. Actually, I think I could probably run it down in 1 spot and just push on the tire hard enough and probably got the bead popped all the way without having to do the secondary spot. This thing is just an awesome tool. It's like I said, it commands a premium. It's a made in America product, but I recommend it, and this thing worked awesome for this. As far as sensors, like again, I used the OEM from the dealer. Is it required? No. I forgot to put a price up here, but again, these were like 200 bucks for all 4 sensors from the dealer. The alternative, like I said, you can do the universal sensors, but this right here can actually program. I found those on Amazon. I think it's about 110 for 4 of them currently. Also, there's a OE original equipment equivalents from like OE brands. Again, the ones from the dealer for this particular model are made by TRW, and they're the original equipment manufacturer for my van. If you take the old ones off, actually this is the old one, it says TRW on it. So these are manufactured the same. There's other companies out there that manufacture for the other manufacturers, or like I'll just say Huff or Hoof. It's a German-based company, GmbH. So it's a German-based company. They, I know, supply to German auto manufacturers like Mercedes, BMW, different types of electronics. Just like hearing the name Continental here in the United States, it's just you may not hear about it as much over here. You can actually get 4 of their sensors with the same, like, kind of, you take your IDs and program the IDs from TPMS.com. No programming, they're already pre-programmed, and you can get 4 of them. It looks like it'd be shipped for almost 100 bucks. If I saw that probably before I started this, or put these on order, or got these from the dealer, I probably would have went that way, because Huff's a Hoof is a reputable brand, so I would look at that as an alternative. Again, that was up from TPMS.com. But that's pretty much it. Again, this was more like this was an educational video, just showing you how I did it for mine. You don't have to do it my way. If you like one of the alternatives, you can go that route. This is more or less just, hey, if you want to go this route, this is the way to do it. Again, it's kind of expensive. It's like roughly 400 bucks, including the sensors, for this job. Now, again, if you spread this across 2 or 3 vehicles, then it doesn't seem as bad. And again, you can always cheap out on the sensors a little bit. But I highly recommend these products. This is not a sponsored video. I don't do sponsored videos. But again, I highly recommend these products right here. These just work, especially for the Toyotas that you actually have to program. There's no easy relearn procedure that doesn't involve a programmer. But anyway, if you like this video, I do other types of fixing videos and how-tos, and if you like that kind of stuff, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And thanks for watching. All right, see you later.